Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. I hope you're doing really well. We have finally seen a little bit of an uptake in the weather here in the UK, and I decided this week that I was going to get out and do a little bit of my favourite pastime, which is garden pottering. So I had a few things that I wanted to do today. The first of all was to pot up a couple of hanging baskets for the back garden. I did my front garden hanging baskets probably maybe a month ago, and they are looking wonderful right now. I did them with some petunias and some trailing lobelia, and they are absolutely loving life. I've got to get out and deadhead them, but they are doing really well in the front garden. But I've kind of neglected the back garden again for a bit, and these hanging baskets have been sitting there empty for, I want to say, like a year and a half. It's been a really long time since I've actually potted these ones up. I think the main reason why I haven't done it is because they are a bit small, and I really was planning on getting some bigger hanging baskets. Maybe some that were already planted this year was kind of what I was going to do, but I left it a bit late for that. And I was looking out in my back garden the other day, and I thought, oh, do you know what? Just plant the baskets. It will take maybe 20 minutes, and I'll have some lovely flowers in the back garden. And so that's what I'm doing this morning. So, as with the front garden, I'm going with petunias for the main bulk of the flower going down the sides. And in the centre of each of these hanging baskets, I'm going to be popping a little dianthus. Now, they're only small little dianthus, and when they start to kind of fizzle out towards the end of the season, I'll pop them out the baskets and I'll put them in the ground, because I do believe, I may be wrong, I'm new to this gardening lark, people, okay, but I do believe they'll come back, and I'm not sure if this is, like, I know you with some plants you get some that will come back and some that won't. I think this is the type of dianthus that will come back. Either way, I'm going to go and put them out into the ground anyway. I can't lose anything, right? And I'll see if they come back next year. The petunias, once they go over, they'll go over, and that'll be that. But petunias, I grow from seed anyway. They are very easy to grow. There's lots and lots of colour choices. And I love them. They're really good, prolific, flower producing plants. So they're always lovely in a hanging basket. I'm thinking next year though, I might have another try at fuchsias. I'm not very good at keeping fuchsias alive, particularly in a hanging basket scenario. I'm not really sure why, because they shouldn't be particularly difficult to keep going, but I'm not very good with fuchsias. But I think they're absolutely gorgeous, and I would really like some fuchsia hanging baskets. So if any of you guys out there are keen gardeners and you can give me any tips for keeping my fuchsias alive in the hanging baskets, please let me know, because I would really love to have a go at that next year. But for this year, we're working with what we've got. So my compost that I'm using here, I picked up from the garden centre, and it's clearly been left out in the rain. It's really kind of clumpy. It's very wet. So I'm not going to pre-moisten it today. It doesn't need it. It is making it a little bit more difficult to get it into these pots though. So it's taking a little bit of doing. And then I'm also adding in some of the Miracle-Gro slow release fertilizer pearls. I tend to put these kinds of things in my pots and baskets and things like that, just to help keep the plants going, because when you're watering these things and the water's draining out of the bottom, it's taking a lot of the nutrients with it. So I do find that you do have to feed a little bit more frequently and have a little bit of that slow release in the soil just to keep them going. It's a tough life for a plant in a basket or a planter, so you do have to look after them that little bit more, and so I'm adding that fertilizer in as I'm going as well. So these two little kind of, I'm not sure what they're actually called, I'm going to call them half moon planters. These two little half moon planters I'm actually going to be attempting some strawberries with. Now, I have attempted strawberries a few times before, and I think I'm doing something wrong. So again, please tell me where I'm messing up, because I bought some strawberry plants from a garden centre last year, and they were already in flower. no, they weren't producing berries yet. They were kind of like in bud and the opening stages of flower. And I put them straight into a freshly prepared kind of long container, nice fresh compost, plenty of nutrients, plenty of moisture. Popped them in there, and almost immediately, I don't know if they shocked, but the flowers fell and it didn't open anymore. I got lots and lots of runners, I got lots and lots of foliage, but the flowers never turned into berries. And then these ones, this year I have started these from seed. I don't know what type they are. They were very cheap. I think it was Pound Stretcher or something I got these from. Grew them from seeds. They're doing amazingly, but again, no sign of flowers. Is it just because it's the first year? I know that strawberries are kind of biennial. I don't seem to have much luck finding answers on Google. Everyone seems to have a different opinion as to how to grow them perfectly. I didn't think strawberries were a difficult thing, but again, it's another thing like the fuchsias I just don't seem to be getting right. Am I overfeeding them? That could be a thing. Am I feeding them the wrong food so that they're concentrating on their leaves rather than producing flowers? That's a possibility too. Please let me know. And if nobody knows, I'm just going to keep trying. I'm just going to keep changing things until I get it right, because I would love to have my own strawberries. Fresh, homegrown, beautiful, ripe, juicy red strawberries. Yes, all the way yes. They've gotten very expensive in the supermarkets, and I love the idea of just going out in the morning with my watering can to water all my hanging baskets and things like that, and be able to pick some lovely fresh red strawberries as well. That would be amazing. So I've moved into the back garden now, and I have actually moved this window basket from the front of the house, where it's in full sun all day, to the back of the house where it's in shade in the morning, and then it gets a little bit of late evening sun. The way the house is angled, the sun hits it very, very late on in the day, so it's not baking all day. It's not getting that main heat of the sun, but it's getting that kind of slightly subdued sun as it's starting to think about setting later on in the afternoon, early evening. So I think it's going to do a lot better here. The front was just too much for it. I could not keep it even remotely wet enough to keep the plants going. Because it's got that coconut fibre liner, the water would just immediately run through. I think I need to kind of line the liner with some plastic or something with a few holes poked in it, if this doesn't work here this year, but I think it's going to do a lot better here. So into this one, I'm putting some more of the dianthus. It's one of my favourites. They're such pretty little plants. They remind me a lot of carnations. I don't know if they're in the same family, probably, and I love that they are, they come back. I love that. So I can pop them in the ground and hopefully they will come back. Every dianthus that I've done this with in the past has come back. So obviously they're easy care. But I'm sure I read something somewhere that said that some dianthus don't. So if these are an annual type, fair enough, I've not lost anything. If they're perennial, I'll have some lovely dianthus come up. I'm going to move all of these into the front garden when they start to fade in the autumn, because I will be starting the back garden revamp actually really, really soon. My schedule was to start it in kind of mid to late September. So early September I'm going to be doing my autumn deep clean of the house, and then I was going to start the garden project after that. And for the first stage of it, it's going to be mostly kind of demolition, which I'm looking forward to. I can take out some of my rage and just demolish the back garden pretty much, and then it's kind of levelling, plotting where things are going to go, digging out things and stuff like that. So these will all be going into the front garden so that they don't perish over the winter in pots or anything like that, and I'll be getting on with the garden project really soon. It might be that I actually start pulling the beds and stuff out earlier. I'm going to see how my plants are doing. I think because this year I've been so aware that I'm going to be doing the garden project, I haven't really maintained it very well, let's say. I don't come out as often as I should with the hose. I don't come out as often as I should with the plant feed. The plants are still doing okay. There's a couple that are looking a little bit sad. There is a skimmia which I had to move. One of my favourite kind of shrub plants. I love a skimmia, but I've moved it into a position where it's not very happy. It's getting too much sun. They prefer it a little bit shadier. So I'm going to have to scoop that out anyway. It's in the, I don't know if you can see, it's in the back of the bed here. It's looking very yellow. It's not loving life, but it's still trying its best. So yeah, I'm going to see if I can scooch that into the front, into the shade bit, and it should be happier there. But, you know, I feel like the garden's kind of slowing down with me. I've got my little flush of annuals in the middle there, and everything else is just ticking over, waiting to be moved. It's like it knows. It's like, oh, you're going to be moving me? Oh, I'm not going to try too hard this year. I'm just going to chill, you know. Things are still putting out new growth, which is really, really nice, but it's not... you know, when you plan something and suddenly the garden is just glorious and you think, oh, should I really do this? Maybe I should just leave it as it is. But no, it's almost... There's the ice cream man. I swear, every time I sit down and try and do some kind of voiceover, it's either the dogs across the street fighting, the children out on the green playing, the ones that just scream, the motorbike, or now, this time of year, it's the ice cream man. And there you go. Takes him ages to turn it off. But yeah, I thought what I do today is just have a little bit of a tidy up. I've got a few plants that they need to be in the ground. They're not going to be here long term. They just need to be in the ground so they can keep some moisture around their roots before I move everything. And then there's just a bunch of annuals that I grew a few too many of, like the pansies in the middle, which I'm actually really enjoying, as are the bees. But I grew a few too many, so I've just popped them in that little bed there. They'll have all summer to do their thing, and into the autumn pansies usually go as well. And then come winter time, when I'm starting to pull all this out, they'll be done and dusted anyway, so that's quite nice. So it's a bit of tidying up, it's a bit of planting, it's a bit of deadheading on the roses, tying some things back, just general stuff. Now you can see on the back fence here the 2 half moon planters. So these are 2 separate ones from the ones I planted in the beginning of the video. These ones I planted up a couple of weeks ago with strawberries again, and then promptly completely forgot about completely. So these poor things have had no water, none, not a drop, other than what has been sent from the sky. We had a couple of deluges, which great for the in-ground plants, but the baskets need to be watered daily, and because I haven't had baskets out here, I just haven't remembered to go and water these. So I'm going to have to pull the dead strawberries out, unfortunately, and find something else to put in there. Again, it'll probably just be a few petunias, annuals, you know, that will get through to the autumn looking pretty, if I remember to water them. And you know, that'll be that. I'll have to remember. I have to set an alarm on my phone or something to remind me. Don't forget, Kerry, you've now got baskets out the back that you need to do. But if you watch me as I'm moving around the garden, I've just noticed this myself as I've been watching myself back doing this voiceover. I don't look up. I'm always looking down at the beds. I'm never looking at anything eye level. I'm never looking up. I'm just looking down at the beds, and I think that's why my brain didn't go, oh, there's dead things in there, Kerry, you need to deal with those. I have noticed a huge difference between my front hanging baskets and the back ones. See, I've just noticed there that they're drying out. So the beginning of the video I planted those 2 hanging baskets that you can see, and this is maybe a week later, and I've forgotten to water them. So yeah, it's not looking too great. But one of the difference that I've noticed between the 2 sets of baskets is the baskets out the front. I bought some kind of moisture retention, I don't know what was actually, granules. Let's go with granules. They were like granules. And as you're putting the compost in, you mix these granules in with the compost, and they swell up a bit like what do they call them? I can't remember what they call them now. That's useful, isn't it? But you get like these little balls that swell up into like these little jelly things, and I got like a granulated form of that, mixed it in with the soil, and they are staying much more moist, which is really nice. Normally my hanging baskets out the front I have to water twice a day. At the moment we are going through some heat and I'm watering them once a day, and they are staying moist. They're still moist the next morning. It's made a huge amount of difference. So if you are struggling like me with the hanging baskets, remembering to water them on time, I would highly recommend getting hold of some of those granules if you haven't planted your baskets yet, or if you're going to be changing them out because, like me, you've forgotten to water them and they're all dying off. Pop some of them granules in there. They're worth their weight, they really are. It's made a huge difference, and the plants outside are looking really lovely. So you might wonder why a picture of George has just popped up on the screen. So this is George, my finch, who was with me for 11 years. 11 years, really good time for a finch. And I put him up on the screen because in the previous voiceover, which I think I've recorded this 3 or 4 times, I was talking about how one of these pots here is his little kind of grave, basically. He's buried in the kind of green pot that's in the centre there, and I was just tending to him. Because I put that image on this video in a previous version, I can't remove it, so that's why little George just popped up there. I'm not going crazy. I miss my little man. He was such a sweetheart. He used to come up to the side of the cage and sing at me. He was the sweetest little thing. He used to shout at me every time I came through the door. He was just a lovely little bird. And yeah, that's his little grave site in his pot there. I think I was talking about just how I was tending the pot and putting some petunias in there in the original voiceover. Yeah, I decided to change the voiceover because I went off on a little bit of a rant about gardeners. Now I'm going to recap it slightly, but it's not going to be a complete rant. So I happened to go into a garden centre and I was asking for a particular type of plant that I wanted to plant in the garden once it's redone. Can't even remember what it was now. And I've learned most of my gardening stuff from a lady in America called Laura over on a channel called Garden Answer. Now I know most of you probably, if you're watching the gardening video, probably watch Laura as well, but I have learned most of my gardening knowledge from Laura, and of course she is over in the States. So when I go to a garden centre and I'm looking for a certain type of plant that she's been discussing, I know either the American name for it or the American pronunciation of the name if it's the same in the UK. And I was on a rant because of the snobbery. There's such snobbery in gardening. Now, it's not from the garden centre people. Most of them know that this is how people learn these days. You know, a lot of people watch things on YouTube and want to try it themselves. But from other people in the garden centre, if you pronounce something in an American way and they obviously have learned the English way, oh, the looks you get, the huffs and puffs, the eye rolls, like really? Surely it's better that people learn something they pronounce slightly differently to you than to not have a clue and put something completely disproportionate in their garden, something that they've got no chance of being able to look after. Surely the fact that people are trying to better themselves and learn and create nicer environments for themselves is more important than whether or not they're using an English or an American pronunciation of a word. Do you not think? That was the rant I was going on anyway. And I think it was because I was planting some things in those pots there next to George's, which I'm currently watering. That kind of got me onto that rant because the particular plant in there, I can't even remember what it was now. Was it Nepeta? One of them two. I think I planted in there, but I'm feeling like it's not. It's something else in there. Anyway, doesn't matter. That was my rant, and that's how I got onto George's pot and why George popped up. So there you go. So I'm quite fortunate that I have, at the moment, while I'm learning, a dinky garden, because I can spend money, and I do, on this garden and try things out so that when I one day move closer to my sister and potentially have a bigger garden, I've learned a lot of my lessons already. with how to care for things. And I can pass on any knowledge that I have gained of growing things to her while she has a go at doing her own garden. We're both kind of planting and learning together, and sometimes I get it wrong. Oh, I'm picking up leaves with a stick here because there was the most enormous wolf spider. Wolf spiders are bitey spiders, and I don't like spiders at the best of times, but bitey spiders, no, we don't go near those. So I use my little stick, which I get a small kind of joy from to pick up all of the laurel leaves in the back garden. But yeah, I feel like it's actually quite handy to learn these things in a small garden, especially this garden, because I get a mix of full shade, part shade, full sun, and that changes as the year goes round. So I'll have things that will go from full shade to part sun in certain times of the year, and things that are part sun will go to full sun in the summer. And it's a really nice way to learn things. So I'm really quite grateful for my teeny tiny garden, even though I would love a bigger garden so I could have some ornamental trees and some bigger shrubs and things. But yeah, I think it's lovely learning it in such a small place and honing it and tuning it to what I want, and discovering the flowers that I love and the things that I love before I go ahead and move to somewhere that's potentially going to have a bigger garden where I can just go for it and plant all of my favourite things and have them look really, really beautiful. So the last thing I'm going to do today is I'm just going to rake over the slate. This will be going. This felt like a good choice at the time, but has not been practical for cleaning. So this will be going during the garden renovation, but it will not be going to landfill. It will be reused. I have a purpose for it, but for now I'm just raking it just to kind of re-level it. It gets a bit squished and moved around as I'm moving about out here doing things, and so I'm just raking it back into position, and that will be the end of my garden pottering for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will catch up with you all in the next one. Have a great day, guys. Bye bye.